Hello, everybody, and welcome to Plague Pals. We are still in the plague, as it turns out. Maura, still plaguey where you live?
It's very plaguey all over. There's
Yeah.
rats run amok.
Yeah. By the way, this is Bill Corbett, and that is Maura Quint. Hello, Maura.
Hi, Bill.
I say, now that we've talked plague, this day in particular, I mean, usually we record on a Wednesday, insofar as
Right.
there is a usually with us, which is, although this is 9 episodes in, not bad.
That's
Um,
right. It's not 10 yet,
it's
but it's
not,
close.
but we'll get there.
We
Uh,
will.
double digits, double digits.
It's the last thing we do in the
Yes.
smoldering ruins of the planet. 10 episodes.
But yesterday would have been a different, conversation, because this morning is just a fire hose of poop here from every direction in the news. And since we do kind of talk about the news and what's going on in the world, like, where to begin? Do you have a place to begin?
Well, I just saw that Herman Cain died. I don't know if you saw
Yes.
that. COVID. That was the last thing I saw before clocking in here, which terrible. And also seeing tons of his shared tweets about how they weren't going to wear masks at the Trump convention and rally that he went to and all of that, which
In
is
Tulsa, yeah, which was like early June or mid-June or something like that. But
something like that.
yeah, I mean, well, R.I.P. Herman. I'm pouring out a Godfather's Pizza for you. He was the CEO of Godfather's Pizza, for those of you who know.
Right. I
And for
forgot
those
that.
of you who don't know anything about Herman Cain, which absolutely forgivable, he was a
Yeah.
presidential candidate who briefly made a splash, would you say? Like, he seemed for about 5 minutes like people were saying he's the secret weapon against Barack Obama. Um,
Right.
I wonder why. I mean, I wonder what would make them think that.
I mean, I just think they have a lot of overlap. There's a lot in common, clearly, between these two. Just they're peas in a pod,
Yeah.
I guess.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
2012.
2012.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost all sense of time. I would have said 2008, but yeah, I think you're right. I think it was that recently. They ultimately settled on Mitt Romney, the you know aging Ken doll.
Well, he
Uh,
ate gold better than Herman Cain did. So, that was what it came down to. How well could you eat literal gold, I think.
what
And
what
then
is that about? I don't know anything about him eating gold.
now you've never seen like a picture of him uh, having dinner and it's like gilded food. I'll
Oh,
find it.
oh, okay. I just know that picture of him having dinner with Trump, which looks like, Stanley Kubrick movie still,
Oh,
just
that
like
one fully looks like it's absolutely out of The Shining, 100%. They open the door and that's what you see
could
completely.
not be more art directed. I mean, you have Mitt Romney looking sheepishly back at the camera like, I did a bad thing. And Trump, just the lighting is like when you go camping and you have like a flashlight under your face to tell a spooky story.
Yeah,
And they're
you're
eating
thinking of
like baby
the
birds or
opposite.
something, just like something super evil, those ortolans that rich people eat. Uh,
Yeah.
have you ever heard of that?
I learned about them this year. This isn't my
Yeah.
like new stuff for 2020 was the ortolans. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm saying it right, but it's the one that where you tradition is you cover your head because they are songbirds and they're very small and you eat them kind of in one. It's just savage, It
Oh, it's
really
terrible.
is like billionaire decadence illustrated. Anyway, so Herman Cain, bye bye. It's yeah. Right now on Twitter, I know people are going back and forth at this moment about whether it's cool or not to, make fun of the just deceased
Right.
Herman Cain for being a dick about coronavirus and mask use and all that, because he was. He like, in fact, some people are speculating that like in his final hours, he still had like a team of asshole tweeters on board, because it's like while he was theoretically on his deathbed, there are things going out like, Antifa must be stopped. I don't know, like shit like that. It's like, are you doing that while you are actually breathing your last, sir?
Who knew you had to have that in your like end of life instructions? You need like, all right, what happens if I'm on a ventilator, or I
Yeah,
need last minute care, or what are my burial wishes, and then also like, here's what you need to tweet for me, okay? If I'm not capable, these are my last will and tweets right here. Make sure they go out.
exactly. I want them snarky. I want them potentially featured on, Laura Ingraham, and I
If
will
I am
accept
not
nothing less.
getting that on a like a nightly news program, then you're doing it all wrong. Okay, this
Yeah,
is my last wishes. I want to be in a top 10 list of best
respect me.
comments.
I have to say, like, I think it's worth avoiding a highly ironic death. I mean, if you're a dumb comedian like me, maybe that's an asset. Maybe that's a feature, not a bug. But for someone like
Right.
Herman Cain, who wanted to be taken seriously, going out basically slipping on a banana peel, not good.
So like, how do you avoid an ironic death? I would imagine it's just try not to somehow wish death on others in some sort of way, or else that's gonna kind of be your up and comments. Like that's probably right. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
if you're
I
saying we
guess,
should drone bomb a wedding, don't show up to a wedding where a drone bomb. Like, I don't know, something like
right.
that.
Yeah, I don't. I guess it needs like a handbook to how to. I have a feeling it involves mostly like not living your life based on obvious lies that are gonna
Huh.
bite you in the ass. But then again, I've
Interesting.
been getting away with it, so.
Getting bitten in the ass to death would be a little
A delightful way to go.
just, I mean, it's really on the nose, which is what 2020 is going for. So,
Ow, ow! I'm dead.
and he's gone. That's it.
And then yesterday, there was another less prominent right winger who was also like an anti-mask guy. Do you know? You've heard of TPUSA? They're
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
they're
Turning.
officially Turning Point USA, although it always reads to me like Toilet Paper USA. Like this TP is toilet paper.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
and it is theoretically like a bunch of college right wingers, and there's one just idiot who is the face of it, who's like this gawky blonde fascist kid. I guess he's probably pushing 30 now, but he's started a couple of years ago. Jacob Wall,
You're
I
a
think is his
fascist, you
name.
get to be.
Yeah.
What did you I heard J.K. Rowling is his name, which I guess should teach
Oh,
me not to talk over you.
talk over me all you want. Jacob Wall, I think is his name. Like,
Oh, uh-huh.
and Turning Point USA was, presented, I think, as like the spontaneous reaction of college students to, the liberal scourge of campus. But it's funded by a bunch of old fucks as usual. And one of the old fucks died yesterday. This guy who was 80 years old, and he was like the co-founder of TPUSA. I forget his name, but he croaked from coronavirus after going hard on in
Sure.
the same Herman Cain-ish way, just like no masks, exaggerating. The economy is, all that shit. It's like
Right.
it just feels like old school now, even though it's only been a couple of months. It feels like this is the playbook now.
Oh, right. Coronavirus croaking. That's like only if you were just a piece of shit who just railed trying to incite and create as much harm to others can you have that fate. Other people suffer and tragically pass. But if that's what you did, your whole
Mhm.
deal was to just try and get as many people sick and to have them suffer, and then you happen to be one of them. That's a coronavirus croaking. It's just fun to
Yes.
say.
Yeah, just make a huge toilet to flush everybody down who dies like that. TPUSA, indeed.
There you
Um,
go.
I was,
That's the
we're bringing it all
right.
together, man.
Put it all together.
I did say it was a fire hose of poop after all. This is the day for it. Um, it is, to me though, I have to say, and I've had this discussion with some friends, and it's, perhaps a little bit shameful to admit this, but I am feeling like, can't coronavirus take out more people we want to take it out? I mean, it just feels like it's been very chintzy to, to people who want at least a little bit of karma in the world. And meanwhile, it's getting rid of people like John Prine and, like wonderful artists and just average people. And, it's horribly disproportionate to Black communities. It just feels like with all the fucking around with lack of masks and everything, we deserve a little more
Oh yeah.
satisfaction.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I sort of live in a world of like, look, we're all gonna die. So I'm not, the idea of rooting for someone to die is kind of a ridiculous thing to me because it's gonna happen to everyone one way or
Yeah.
another. But yeah, no, I do have a general sense of like, shouldn't it be more of them? Like, just shouldn't it be, since they're just being so terrible about it and putting so much evil into the world and
Mm-hmm.
being, but like, the other thing though is that so many of them are so hypocritical. So like, they're saying all of this like blustery, no masks, freedom, take back your state and open everything up and, sacrifice the essential workers, and they're all for that, but they're still taking meetings remotely. They're still
Mm-hmm.
on the phone. Like these, Fox News is still doing Zoom call broadcasts. Like they're still actually protecting themselves, which is
Yeah. Get together,
even,
bitches. Get together in an unventilated conference room, in Manhattan, and just show us what you got. I will say though that there's a surprising amount of people who, like, especially in Trump's inner circle, that you see just like pretty bunched together
oh yeah.
and maskless for the longest time. And I know that, like, what's his face, the dumbest son of a bitch in Congress. What's his?
That
Uh,
does not narrow it
no, I'm
down. Is
sorry.
it Matt?
No, that
Matt
Gomer, Gomert.
Oh, Louis Gomer. Yeah.
Louis Gomer tested positive the other day. And you can test positive, but not necessarily get sick. Like nobody knows how this shit works, even now.
Right.
But he was defiantly anti-mask, and you just feel like, all right, karma. Finally, you did a little something. But
He
this is
went
what I
into
fear
the
about.
office
What's
and
that?
he went into the office after testing positive to be in a room to tell his staff he tested positive. Like that's, I, I could use a text on that one. Like no need. You can do that from afar. That can be a conference call. It's all right. Nope.
It's that weird nexus between dumb and evil, and you never know which. Like both can coexist in
Oh
the
yeah.
same dumb space of the same dumb person, but it feels like you never know like what's really more
They kind of
inevitable.
feed each other often.
Yeah,
Like the desire to be dumb, come the evil. They all just
it's a
swim in the same.
Mobius strip. One side
It's,
is dumb, one side is evil. It's just
yeah,
uh,
with a "Don't tread on me" logo on it. Yeah, that's right.
so yeah, but one of the fears I have with people like Gomert or even if Trump got it, is that they would get the best care in the world.
That's
They would
right.
pull through, and the
That's
whole
right.
story would be like, it was nothing. I was just like, I had a cold. And, you know,
Yeah, no, because they're all getting tested to find out the second they get it. They're getting tested so consistently, where the rest of the people across the country can't even get tests. Like there are
yeah,
so many places where it's still nearly impossible to get tests. Then
yeah,
they're getting treated immediately, whereas people are still having to go to work, take care of their kids. They don't know if they have it. By the time they do, if they go in for treatment, they're going into places that are overcrowded. No one can accept them. They can't get the treatment. Like it's
yeah.
completely like just about everything else, completely two different worlds, the world for the wealthy and privileged and the world for everybody else. And it's just utter bullshit, of course.
Yeah.
Consistent.
Well, Trump doesn't even have the self-awareness to bullshit his way out of this stuff sometimes. Like and I know his core fans love this about him because they're authoritarians, but he
Right?
basically says, I get tested every day. I'm always being tested. I'm fine. While simultaneously saying, we have too much testing. the reason the numbers are higher is because everybody's getting tested. It's like the tacit admission there that his life is worth so much more than anybody else. I mean, I guess points for honesty that he and the structure of this country actually does support that idea that he is much, much more important than, you know, a million other people combined. But
Right.
it still is kind of shocking, like the sense of self-preservation as a politician you might muster up to just like hide that slightly does
But
not
I mean,
seem
I think,
evident.
like, again, I think it falls down to, there's the hardcore supporters and then there's the people who just want the tax cut that they're going to give him.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the hardcore supporters, a lot of them would say, yeah, his life is worth more than mine. Like, they're the people who are that far into his world do tend to believe that, I think, from what I've seen from like my just observationally. But the ones who just want the tax cut, they don't care. Like, doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
And those are
Needs
the
to be.
ones who I think are peeling off little by little, especially as they see, hey, Joe Biden, he's not gonna hurt us too much.
Give us a shortcut too, maybe. It's fine.
Little,
It oh
little
hmm.
more stability, and we'll be right as rain. That's
Those are the things that I've been very aware of lately. The Democratic platform that came out this last week, which was awful. But what you just made me think of was there was a Bloomberg newspaper opinion headline that was like, the Democrats, yes, the Democrats are being the pragmatic ones for once.
mhm.
That just made me shudder. Like, for a Bloomberg opinion to be like, that's nice. You're not
Yeah.
doing anything too terrible. Wonderful. This will be fine. The banks will be all right. That, oh,
Yeah, if Bloomberg
perfect.
opinion thinks you're being pragmatic, then you suck.
Gone the wrong way. Turn around immediately. Head the other way. That is a dead end. Keep just,
Yeah.
oh, that was bad. Did you spend any time on the platform?
I saw the results of it, and yeah, I got mad, and I said a lot of stupid shit on Twitter. And I had
Yeah.
the usual Democrats coming back to me saying, "Oh, I suppose you want Trump to get elected." And I went out of my way, I swear to God, to frame it thusly, which is, look at who supports Medicare for all in this country. It is somewhere between 85 and 90% of Democratic voters, and it is north of 50% of Republican voters. It polls favorably somewhere in 70 something percent. Like, people want it. They want single payer. They want better than we have now. So by saying no to that, to me, you are, and we've said this on the show before, it is just like putting down a very powerful weapon that you could use against all Republicans, especially Trump, and just saying, our donors don't want it. And yet they will scold you all day and night for not voting or not being supportive. I mean, and it's just so upside down because, yeah, like, I get it. Voting matters, and we all want, none of us want Trump to win. But when you are not doing a thing that, you would have to sacrifice some of your donor things or lay down the law or be honest about it, which at least like AOC and company are kind of like, they lay it out for people while trying to work with the other Democrats. But I gotta say, like, they're just giving up a very, to me, very powerful electoral advantage by not promising to change what needs to be changed and that people want changed, and pot legalization. And what was the third one? There was a third one that was just like, I can't believe you people are passing on this.
Oh gosh.
I
Yeah.
can't think of it right now,
I had to
but yeah, it's just like everything that I think it was a foreign policy thing. I think it was a thing about Israel and Palestine, which I usually don't go near because I don't know enough about it, and it is the most incendiary shit. But basically, it was like extremely disappointing to any progressive who wants a
Yeah.
little more balance in that arena. It's just that the Democrats are going to be the Democrats they've always been, and even maybe even a little more conservative because they think Trump presents the opportunity to tack right because they've got Rick fucking Wilson on their side and all the, like, they're just moving, you know, like they're taking the former Republicans in and they're saying, fuck you to the left. And it's just electorally bad because those people are going to abandon you at first fucking opportunity. I
Well,
have
you're
spoken.
completely right. Like these are issues that have wide support. And if your only goal was just to appeal to people, you would obviously just be like, ah, well, these are the popular things. So these are the things I stand for. So to just completely toss those aside is absolutely infuriating. And there are multiple different issues on which 2020, the platform is now in a less progressive place than it was in 2016 when it was not progressive. So it's infuriating. It's really infuriating. And in the world of taxes, it's utterly, oh, because we spent so much time pushing Dems to be comfortable taking a stance of proactively taxing the wealthy, and had a lot of movement on that. There was so much movement on that. We had some amazing policies put forth. And I mean, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, both of them had great different proposals for taxing the rich, but they weren't alone. It wasn't as though it was like just
Right.
those two. They were being met by the rest of the field who were upping their proposals on that sort of thing. Everyone except Biden. So I mean, like the only way it would have been worse, I guess, is if it was Bloomberg. I think was the only one who was worse. But like that's now what we're stuck with. We had a whole field of people responding, and not just like putting out those proposals, but I think they were. I watched through the primaries that they got so much positive feedback and reinforcement that they would up it. Like they would keep pushing because it
Mm-hmm.
was a winner. It was a winning thing for them. And, you know, now Biden's just like, nah, fuck it. Just let's go back to what were we doing? Like in the 80s or something? I don't know. That, well, even that at this point is a step up, but still nowhere near where we need to be. He's, oh, so infuriating. And that platform was just, it was just a slap across the face
Yeah.
over
And
and over.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no, that was it. I was just going to keep saying over and over and over until your head hit the table.
I did have some friend. I did see some friends of mine saying, "Look, you know, don't worry about it. It's just a platform. Nobody pays attention to the platform." But it is, yeah, and you're right. Like 95%
That's
of
why you
voters,
can go crazy progressive. That's what makes me insane. Yes, just the platform. No one pays attention to the platform.
right,
So go for it. Like you're
right,
right. That doesn't direct the policy. So just put it out there as like
yeah.
the ideals, not the like, yeah, we're going to make this happen right now, but hey, here's what we believe in for people. Nope.
Hmm.
Nope.
No, they're doing quite the opposite, as you pointed out. I mean, it's a way of they are. I mean, the Republicans stipulated as ever the main evil out there, but it is hard to not smell a little bit of sulfur from the Democratic Party when they are using the coronavirus opportunity and the Trump opportunity, basically, to go further right. And in the face of a pandemic, to stiff arm Medicare for all with some vague, like, we're going to defend the ACA. And like, you've been saying that for 10 years now, and it just keeps dying. People, and, you know, I don't know what to say at this point. I mean, I hate both parties with a passion. Yeah, I
Mhm.
hate the Republicans more in raw terms, but the Democrats are a special kind of loathing for me because they are ostensibly the people who I have to support and whose side I am supposed to be on, and vice versa. And they just keep telling people like you and me and like people anywhere basically younger than 40, go fuck yourself. You
Mhm.
are not going to get anything in life. You want more Trump, pay up, or you get more Trump. I mean, that's
Right.
my very emotional response to it. I know there's nuance here and there, not all Dems, but pretty much the entire leadership.
Hashtag not all Dems.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just deflating, like over and over.
Hmm.
But you're right. The Republicans are such an existential threat to the majority of people in this country that, you rock in a hard place. What can you do? And the other thing that I was paying attention to this past week, unfortunately, because I had to, was the HEALS Act. Did you see any of that?
I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
You should be sorry. How dare you? How dare you not be up on everything?
I
You
was
should
writing fart jokes.
I'm sure there's something in there for you. There's an A that's ass. I don't know. There's a lot. There's something. The HEALS Act is the Senate Republican proposal relief bill. It's their response to the CARES Act that the Dems put forth
Oh,
months
brother.
ago now. So they all went on vacation, and the Senate Republicans came back and put out this HEALS Act, which is I think like $1.2 trillion relief bill. The Dems was like a $3 trillion relief bill. And it is, I mean, it's terrible, of course, but like it's also ridiculous. Like there's some stuff in there that is just so
Oh, okay.
wonderfully
Yeah.
stupidly political. Like
I know what you're talking about now, but I didn't know it had the
you
name the
just have a
Heels Act. And
whole,
I immediately pictured HEEL as
well,
like
yeah.
these are the heels. These are the bad guys.
Maybe they made the choice. I mean, that's how it should be spelled. I'm sure we can change that A, whatever the hell it is, to an E easily. Yeah, that's the name of their act, Cares and Heals. But yeah, no, they had the FBI building. They wanted to create a new FBI building in Washington. That was supposedly their little like gift to Trump because if they don't develop there's money in the HEALS Act to build an FBI building in DC because it is on a property that is near the Trump Hotel. And
Oh,
if they don't develop it, there's a fear that another hotel developer might put a hotel
ah,
there that
there's the
competes
angle.
with
It
Trump's
always
hotel.
it always comes down to grubby, organized crime adjacent, like New York real estate shit mentality.
Right,
Like it's
right.
never more sophisticated than that, except, a huge dollop of racism, mixed in there, which it probably is anyway. But yeah, Christ.
Yeah, that one. The other, oh, they had in they're not going to expand your unemployment insurance that like millions of people are desperately reliant on right now. They want to take most of that away, but don't worry, they're going to add in a thing that you can 100% write off business entertainment expenses. 3 martini lunches, you can write that off. That's okay.
Well, that
That's
sounds great.
they know what's important.
That'll
Okay, this
float me.
what I also love is that's the response to like the fact that restaurants aren't doing well. So this is going to help restaurants, which
I am.
yes, it will help Wolfgang Puck. It will help like Spago. There's like a couple of restaurants, very
Yeah.
high end restaurants in very specific locations that yes, will get a little bit more business. It's not helping your fucking sandwich shop on the corner.
Right.
It's not like the coffee shop that you go to every day that's,
Yeah.
about it's not helping any of that. It is very specifically like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, Trump got scared that his favorite restaurant was going to go under, but now he
Right.
can write off all of like, the couple $100 a plate meals, and that's going to keep that afloat. It's
Mm.
so transparent and ridiculous
Yeah.
that if we weren't so overwhelmed with this shit all the time, we'd be going to town. It would just be like such a source of mockery, but there's just like there's no space to mock it
Yeah.
because there's just too much other shit going on.
Yeah. We are a failed state. Like the United States is a failed country, and I mean, I guess like it depends on your point of view, because if you're a very rich person, it is the best place in the world. There's nothing expected of you. You can break any fucking law you want. You can, no one
Live it up.
expects you to tell the truth or be decent. You can rape kids, whatever. Somebody will
Not a
take
big
care
deal.
of it.
Right. I've got a guy for that.
Yeah, they all have guys for everything.
Yeah. It's gross as hell. I mean, the only problem with that I have with like, well, no, I don't have a problem with it. You're right. We are completely a failed state. I would only
Sorry.
say
No, don't let
no,
me drag you down the drain with
no,
me.
no, no. I only just come to like the international entanglements of the whole world at this point. Like, where isn't, other than the mythical New Zealand, which I will refuse to ever hear any slander on. But like beyond that, I don't know. It seems like everything I hear out of the UK is just as bad and terrible. I'm not hearing like too many countries anywhere that seem to be like maybe they're doing really well in one area, but then they're
Hmm.
fucked in another. Like that's it just seems bad across the board right now.
I think a couple of weeks ago we were saying words to the effect of like this coronavirus would have kicked the world's ass no matter what. It's just that huge and mysterious and elusive and deadly all at the same time. It's like it's very easily transmitted. So it would have been a horrific challenge in the best of times. So like
Mm-hmm.
some countries being on the ropes to me is like, okay, that's just what happens in this situation. Although I can't name them. I mean, um, so it
But
just,
American, damn it, that's what I know.
but America went the fucking worst way, the worst way. Um, I mean, they couldn't have done worse than just like capturing coronavirus and spraying it in helicopters across the United States.
Kind of feels
Um,
like that's what they did.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, but I think it's showing like the weakest, worst parts of every country very clearly.
Yeah,
Uh, Even in ways that we probably should have been aware of before, because it is coinciding with the whole police state crackdown thing that's happening here, which is a whole other gigantic topic that relates to it, but it's like on a parallel track with it. And it is just such an intense shit show of a time that it's coming in on all fronts. And part of me is wondering, like, what is the like is there any metaphysical or spiritual reason for this? Like, is it just like the Old Testament God just woke up and said, here you go,
we were
plagues?
probably
And
like drilling for something in an ocean and just like hit like an old reservoir of some sort of like evil, you know? Like
yes,
we've never gotten to that depth before, but we finally hit it. I think that makes
yeah.
sense.
Well, it certainly feels that way, and I know that saying this just ignores all the extremely good and sincere people trying to like help each other during this, and there are many, and you know, part of me just feels sometimes like, oh, am I just accentuating the negative too much all the time? Like, yeah, you gotta acknowledge it, you gotta get into it, you have to try to fix it, but is there any hope? And I would feel bad, honestly, if I am, you know, absolutely insisting to you, a person who works on the front lines of some of this policy stuff, that oh, it's just a nihilistic shithole of a world, because I don't think it is. I actually am the long-term optimist who thinks like this is forcing some issues really hard. It's like, how hard a landing are we going to have? And it looks like it's going to be pretty much the hardest possible on all fronts, because of all these stuff that could have ameliorated it, including, like we said, like Democrats could have embraced Medicare for all and gotten that genuinely started. But what you kind of are reminded is like they just don't care. They just don't care. This morning, Maura, there was the service for John Lewis.
Yes.
I think it might even be happening now or just waking up as we're recording this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a historic, wonderful man. But Bill Clinton got to speak at his service, as did George W. Bush, who is
Okay.
the coolest guy in the world now.
Sure.
Everything's forgiven. He's no fucking Cheeto, I'll tell you that much. Um, say with great bitterness.
Oh.
But Clinton, whose charm has always eluded me, honest to God.
Oh, really? You
Barack
don't. You
Obama's has not. Like I am still
interesting.
drawn to that guy as a human being despite all my knowledge of what he does, you know, politically and policy wise.
Right.
Bill Clinton, I mean, maybe it's just because I was a little older and I just felt like, I've seen bullshit artists like this before.
That's
Um,
interesting. Huh.
but Clinton actually ad-libbed something to the effect, and I don't have the exact words, but people were noticing it hard like an hour ago, saying that Clinton managed to ad-lib a dig, or it was in the form of a thanks to Clyburn, James Clyburn of South Carolina, who was
Yeah.
present for basically clearing the path for Biden to be the nominee. It's like you're getting senile, Bill. You're saying the quiet part out loud here, and in the context of like a mythical civil rights leader of great importance passing away, you basically just like said, it was good that we cleared out all those people who wanted to end actual suffering, you know, so that the Dem machine could go on. And
Oh, I missed that one. Jeez.
I,
That's
I, yeah,
great. That's great. That's just politics. Beautiful. Right there on display. Oh my gosh. Amazing. I'm
it's just like, what, I mean, what a lose thing. No one is going to like that. It defiles the importance of the moment. And
yeah,
maybe,
just a
maybe,
little bit.
yeah, maybe the reports I read were a little exaggerated. Who knows? But I wouldn't put it past him. He's become like a real crank. And he did say like John Lewis didn't want to cancel anybody. He fucking used that word, that loaded shitty word.
Oh my,
Anyway, fuck the Clintons.
fuck the Clintons. Yeah, that should have actually been the close to their whole speech. But in fact, if Bush had started with that, he could have gotten more people on his side.
Uh,
Jeez. Yeah, no, I had no interest in hearing any of that memorial because I don't want to hear from those people. Like, I was
mm,
interested to read. I think there's a posthumous op-ed that John Lewis has placed. That I mean, I want to hear John Lewis's words, but I don't really need to hear what any of them have to say. I've
mhm.
heard from all of those people before, so we're good.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about that.
And this leads me to one other thing that is happening today. Michelle Obama's podcast is launching with
Oh, I've got
extreme,
nonstop ads for it. Nonstop. Like I can't get
extreme
away from it.
promotion.
And
Yeah.
they're so like it's her looking beautiful, like 5 different shots that they rapid change. Like that's what I keep seeing. Like these 5 different pictures of her close-up face looking stunning.
Hmm.
I don't want to see it anymore. Like please, I don't want to be. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't. I'm
Well,
trying to not say
is
anything.
that weird zone again, because like even more than Barack Obama, I really find it hard to dislike Michelle Obama. I know I'm a
Yeah.
simp. I'm an idiot.
No, I
You know,
don't dislike Michelle Obama. She seems remarkable.
she seems
And I'm
remarkable. Like she was subject to such horrible abuse. But when I see this stuff, my blood kind of boils because I just feel like you could
yeah.
have done so much more. Like you don't need to be a celebrity again. There's so many voices that need to be out there, and like all the people who can get a show anytime they fucking want on TV are
Well,
starting
arguably,
podcasts
she
now.
can elevate voices that would not otherwise have a chance
Yeah.
because she would have such a platform. So that would be an argument in favor. Now, I have no idea who she's planning to have on, and
Who
I
knows?
haven't
It may
not
be
those
great.
people, but maybe. But
It
I
may
feel
be
like
great.
mostly when I see that, I just feel like, oh, they're really going to take Ellen down, and they've decided that Michelle Obama is going to be like the Ellen replacement. That's what I see. Just very likable, personable,
Yeah.
smart. Like she's more academic and intelligent, or that's her persona. And
Hmm.
whereas Ellen is a little more like sort of silly, but like they still sort of have that same world, very very friendly, very appealing,
Hmm.
sort of. That's what I just see. They want to like replace
Who's they?
they they Hollywood.
I think Ellen's going nowhere. I think she'll say some little tepid, I'm
Oh
sorry if
yeah,
I
no,
treated people badly, blah, blah, blah. You know, she's a machine.
She's not
I don't
going
know.
anywhere.
Yeah,
No.
part of me just feels like, what, if this stuff is if Trump is a red hot emergency, the people with actual power are doing jack shit to really stop it. And it is such an inverted power dynamic that is
That's
foisted
a
at us.
really, really good point. Certainly, if we're living in a world where Trump is, you know, because we don't have a better comparison, but a version of a type of a sort of Hitler-esque persona of threat and evil. The idea that yes, your other most powerful people who would oppose it are starting a podcast, like going on a book tour. It's kind of hilarious, actually.
They're
It's kind of
tweeting. They're tweeting.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even like I can fucking tweet. I can tweet better than they can. So can you. Were any of them in the London Underground with a tweet like you were? I don't
I mean, I didn't see it.
see our first podcast to understand the context of that. Um, but I guess even with the Michelle Obama, it's like she wasn't an elected official. Yeah, she's beloved, and one could say rightly so, because she's handled those 8 years of absolute racist abuse with grace and panache. She is way too neoliberal Democrat for my taste, as anybody pretty much in the Democratic Party who is beloved is, except AOC, carving out a little exception for herself.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like, the people who are in power right now, or wield, the airwaves, or the power of the airwaves, like, you can go right down the list: Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, the guy who is like, he's the actual worst, Chuck Schumer. They all are just like, Mr. President now. It's like, if Trump is an existential threat, like, you need to match it with institutional power, and that may mean giving up a little bit of your cushy perch, but that is absolutely not on the table, because they don't really believe it.
No, they don't. They don't believe it. It's
And they
it's
like
tiring.
some of
They're
the
all going to
results.
have a podcast, so it's going to be fine. They'll all have a podcast. Nancy Pelosi's ice cream review podcast is going to be fantastic. Chuck Schumer, where he just like confuses what animals are all day, just his
What
zoology
is that
podcast.
about? Confusing animals. What's the
Did you not see
reference there?
That was the quote yesterday that went around. The HEALS Act and the CARES Act, and Nancy Pelosi said, it's like a giraffe and a flamingo. Someone who's not very bright might think that they would produce an offspring, but they just can't mate. Meaning, like,
The two acts, the Republican and
can't
Democrat.
put
Got it.
these together and weave them into something third. It just is not possible. And Chuck Schumer joined in with like something like, yeah, it's like a Labrador and a Rottweiler. I don't know. He named two breeds of dogs, and then said
Numbskull.
like you just can't mate a dog and a lion. And Nancy Pelosi was like, well, yeah, that would be a cat and a dog, so that's right. But like he was trying to follow up her metaphor and couldn't pull it off. Like, just fucked it up right out of the gate.
Oh my God.
Just
as the owner of a dog who people are often surprised by, our little dog Rudy, who's 8 years old, semi-star of my very peppy Instagram, where I don't get into shit, is half Chihuahua, 1/4 Dachshund, and 1/4 Golden Lab. And
First
people
of
are
all, you
always
meant
like,
Dachshund, right? I refuse to call it Dachshund. Dachshund.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right.
No, you are, but I am fighting back against that.
Let's call it a hot dog.
That's right.
The
That's
Frankfurter
fine.
dog.
Dachshund and Dachshund is
Dachshund. I think you have to get super German to really pronounce it right, and that never works out for anybody.
That's not good for anyone. Do not go super German. Keep your German right at the normal levels. Once you're getting into Uber German, it's definitely bad.
But anyway, that third breed, the Golden Lab thing, people are like, what? He's only like 15 pounds. It's like,
oh, wow.
And as my vet says, his vet, I go to a doctor.
Sure you do.
If all the dogs cooperate, if they want to fuck, they'll find a way. It doesn't matter their size, you know.
Life finds a way.
And Rudy is the result of that. Anyway, Chuck Schumer,
Wow.
you dopey son of a bitch. The thing with the like Nancy Pelosi, when you said Nancy Pelosi having an ice cream podcast, it's very funny, but I don't believe any of these fucking mummies are ever going to give up power. It is the
Oh,
oldest cohort in the world, Congress. Like they're all withered, not they're all, but like compared to the average American age, or even probably the American like business CEO, and that skews pretty old and white. It just feels like once they are there, they just like will never give up.
oh yeah, no, it's like termites. It's very difficult to get those out of your house. Like you can keep trying, but they're just gonna keep showing up. It's not, yeah, it's not great. No, I don't see any of them giving up power, and I don't know if it's like just the attraction of power. Like once you have it, it just feels so good that you just don't ever want to let that go, or if it's just that, or if it is sort of a belief of like I really can do it better than anyone else. Like no one else, they think they could, but they don't understand. They just would not be able to do it as well as I am. Like a just an inherent belief in their own ability, or if it's the two things. I don't know which of those is driving that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have a feeling it's like the dumb and evil thing. It's like it just waxes and wanes, but it's a big mixture. And I would also add protecting their own interests. I mean,
oh,
Nancy Pelosi is super rich. She just, even if she doesn't make the connection immediately, she thinks like a super rich people, like a super
yeah,
rich people. And she really does not want, that fucked with.
no, that's very true. I mean, that's one of the things that always sort of gets to me with wealth and with people's wealth. It's like there's a point at which you're rich enough and you're old enough. Like you can have a little bit of it fucked with. It's not going to affect your life. Don't worry. You're going to still go on all of the like wonderful lavish vacations you want. You're still going to be able to buy all of the homes that catch your eyes. You're ambling through, it's not going to be a problem. So it's okay now. Like you can
Yeah.
give a little, you won't notice.
You
You
will
don't
not
have to.
lack for ice cream freezers. You can just buy like 10 a day and just like wipe your ass with them and throw them out like with the money you have. Just like,
When I see like, and she's younger, but still, but when I see people like in their 80s who are just vastly, insanely wealthy and they are still fighting tooth and nail to protect every dime, no matter what. It's just like, what are you doing this for? You've set aside trusts, your children and their children, everybody's
yeah,
taken care of. You can do
everyone's
anything
good.
you want. Why are you just trying to screw everyone else now? It's just like, it's just vindictive and hateful. Like it doesn't help you at all.
Yeah.
It's, oh,
And it's bipartisan, I
oh
mean,
yeah, yeah. No, that has no party. That's everywhere.
it feels deeply evil to me. And I hate to use that, that kind of like
Oh, yeah.
fundamentalist language, but it feels demonic, almost like when they get into that zone where they just feel like if I give up my power, I die, just like really like shitty pulp fantasy stuff where
Oh,
they just feel like their life essence is making sure that that is not fucked with in any way. And they don't, I also think there's like a real lack of self-awareness. They really, like, they're in such a bubble, the most powerful people in the world, and the president is the most bubbled person of all, whoever gets in there,
mhm.
that they just don't know anything else. Like everything else is pushed aside. Their daily needs are met with absolute efficiency, and like they don't know anything else at this point. It's like having a bunch of trained bears doing it, old decrepit trained bears like passing bills and
We're hungry for wealth, as bears are. Just
putting
collecting root.
opening the picnic basket and taking out another fucking tax cut.
That's what I know of bears. I'm not really outdoorsy, so that sounds right.
Yeah, bears are
That's
now bears are encroaching into the suburbs now because nature's healing and all that coronavirus stuff.
I see. Watch out. So the suburbs are getting attacked from all sides, I guess.
They
They've
are.
got Trump, they're under direct assault right now from, I mean, things, undesirables, whatever that may be. And now
You're
bears too.
you're referring to, yeah, the low income housing is mostly bears. No, you're referring to something Trump said yesterday when he's ratcheting up the
Yeah,
racism every day. Like everybody freaks out about another Trump tweet, literally a tweet.
yeah,
And I am of two minds about that. Yes, it is absolutely alarming, some of the shit that the president of the United States, who still hasn't been impeached for some really basic shit that he could have been, he could be investigating it right now. But no, um, every day he says something just horrible and unimaginable. And
yeah.
today was like the coup de grace because he basically suggested this was really the big news of the day. Talk about burying the lead. The big news of the day was maybe we should postpone the elections.
It's not safe to vote, so let's not have elections for a while. We'll delay them. Yeah. And then there's the pushback on that, which is because, of course, everything he says or does goes through this tremendous process of like outrage. I mean, the like, and the shock, which is always hilarious to me because stopping shocked, just whatever the worst thing
Yeah.
is that you can
I
conceive of.
cannot believe the president. It's like,
Right. Like,
really? Do you just,
it's been
you
a
just
while.
like memento? Do you just wake up every day with your memory fucking wiped clean?
That's exactly what it seems like. Because it's like you can't possibly be shocked. Obvious, like it just you gotta your criteria for when you get shocked has got to come down. It's just gotta like you gotta it's gotta change.
Really should have
So
happened
yeah,
like 5 years ago, but
that's
okay.
right.
Get up to
Like all right. So
speed
then there's the
quickly.
shock and the outrage, and then there's the like, well, ignore it because he can't do it anyway. Like whatever he said, whatever he's saying doesn't, whatever. It's just nonsense. He can't really do it when, of course, we've learned he can do anything he wants. It doesn't matter. There's no checks and balances. All of that was nonsense and bullshit. Yeah, he can do it. He absolutely can do it. It's very possible. If he tweeted it, might happen in an hour. We don't know. It's very,
Yeah.
very possible.
Yeah, I mean, if you
Uh,
people in power are not going to use your power to stop him and really go to the mat for it, he's going to fucking do it. That's just the way the motherfucker rolls. And we've known
right.
that from jump that that's the way he rolls.
And then the next cycle in that is ignore it because he's just doing it to distract you from this other thing. And
Yes.
today, this other thing is the fact that our economy is just completely tanked and has blown up and is at a ridiculous level of fail, basically,
Yeah,
right
we're at
now.
Great Depression levels.
We're right there, and the unemployment insurance is all ending as of tomorrow.
Hmm.
So we're in this tremendous, insane crisis, and we're just going to plunge further into it. We've already missed that the fiscal cliff. We've missed the moment in time where we could have
We
veered course.
Wile E. Coyote right off that motherfucker.
Absolutely, we think we're still in the air, but it's just no. It's already we're past it. We're about to look down and
Well
realize that
said.
there's one.
Yikes. The little sign that just like.
That's right. That's right. So that was the next part of that cycle is, oh, he's just saying this because he doesn't want you to focus on the economy. And like every part of this is of the cycle too makes me just a little bit crazy because it's like, yes, it's shocking a president would say that, but we know that already. But yeah, yes, it's outrageous and it's terrible. We know that too. Yes, he can in fact do it. And yes, he may be saying it as a distraction, or he may not. There's just so much fucking shit going on at any given
Yeah.
moment that no matter what he's saying, there's 25 other things that
Right.
we also need to be paying attention to and juggling. And stop yelling at me, people on Twitter, that like that I'm choosing the wrong one at any given
Oh
moment.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
That's
shut
just
up.
classic use of Twitter. Why
Yeah,
are you
like
looking at that? Look at that instead.
just shut up. Shut
Yeah.
up. That's where I end up.
More, I think your taxonomy of the cycle there is fucking dead on. Like it is just, yeah, repeat 2 billion times.
Right. Oh, and then I forgot the end, which is, and then we forget about it because something else happens within
Yeah.
a couple of
Yeah.
hours or tomorrow at the
So the
latest.
next,
Yeah,
so they aim the hose somewhere else or get fresh shit or something like.
that's right. It's just nonstop. So yeah, he very well may be trying to delay the elections. I think that's within the realm of possible. I think more likely he'll just, uh, I mean, we already see all the polling places being shut down. We're seeing all sorts of
Mhm.
these barriers to voting. Various state governments are making it harder for people to get to polls in different ways, state to state. So I think more likely it's just going to be like this constant erosion of the ability of people to vote, and that will certainly have some effect.
Yeah, which was terrible to begin with.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, there's trying to find a logic for Trump is just such a fruitless endeavor. You
Mm-hmm.
just accept at this point that it is always the worst. And then those of you with power, fucking fight it or shut up. Or, like, fight it and tweet, maybe, but don't just tweet. And
Right.
even the people who I actually quite like Pramila Jayapal,
Mm-hmm.
who took William Barr to the woodshed the other day. I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like that always stops short of, okay, because of this, now we're going to do that. And the only taste of it we got, because it was just so much pressure on Pelosi to do so, was that fucking Ukraine impeachment. It was like, yeah, it was absolutely valid as one of a list of about 100 things you could have put on that, and which should still be going on right now, because you're not doing anything else and nothing else is passing. So just keep coming at them and make that the story. But instead, it's like, poor Ukraine, and it failed, as could have been predicted probably. And that's it. Ukraine, that's the issue. And bye-bye. Now we're just going to wait till the election while he sends, fucking shock troops into the streets. Literally. It's not just like a metaphor. And that's like the thing that we didn't talk about today, which I was kind of thinking maybe it would, but like you described, Maura, it's just like dizzying because you pull one
Yeah.
thing and that's
I didn't want to discuss it. I kept waiting for someone to just come up behind you and put a bag over your head and throw you into a van. So I just didn't
do
want to
that.
like loosen that in any
Yeah.
way. So yeah.
No,
No.
I'm an old white guy in the suburbs. It's not going to happen to me. Like, I would love to be that heroic and imagine that, but it is happening to the people who are daring to put their bodies on the line. And
Mm-hmm.
if they come to Minneapolis, I will do that, but I don't really know what to do about it now, except say, like,
I know. That's the
see
hardest
what's
part.
going on in absolutely no uncertain terms here. And now they're going to fan out to other cities, mostly, big majority population Black cities or significant population Black cities. It's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
big chaotic mess that is going to also suppress voting. Somebody
Yep.
said today that it was like, well, one of the things they can do if you get charged by a Fed, your voting rights can be taken away. And it's like, that sounds viable too. I don't know how much they have
Oh,
up
right.
their sleeve,
That's a
like,
fantastic point.
I mean,
Sorry.
I don't think
There's,
Trump thinks of any of this, but he's got plenty of extremely evil people who are a little more level-headed about this shit, who, he will rubber stamp anything that keeps him in power, and he'll contradict
yeah.
himself the next day. That is totalitarianism. That's what they do. They don't try to be consistent.
As we're talking about people barging in our houses, I
Oh,
literally just had someone barge in my house. That's my dad, so no
hi, Dad.
problem. I met both my parents. Also, a fantastic reminder, lock your doors.
Yeah.
Even when you're home, you should lock your doors always.
A stray dad might get in.
You just come in off the streets. I'm in the suburbs. This is the sort of assault I'm under.
It's a minor miracle that nobody in my family or dogs have managed to come into this room while we've been doing this. So we should we should we
Meanwhile,
should,
everyone I've ever met in my entire life has somehow popped up, apparently. It's
it's
wonderful.
it's wonderful. Um, so we should wrap up soon, but before we do, just to breathe into a brown paper bag for a minute or two, we're going to talk about, like, we had the idea of maybe just talking about something a little lighter. And I ran this by you, and you kind of like the idea that this week was the 80th anniversary of the first official appearance of Bugs Bunny, who I contend is like the best fictional character of all time, not just cartoon character. And I said that on Twitter, hoping to get a rise. And everybody, of course, the pedants came at me. It's like, well, I would say cartoon character, but maybe not. It's like, all right, you're the ones I was setting a little trap with a box and for to what end I do not know. Like, I got what I wanted, and then I was mad about it. So well done, Bill. Um,
I got what I wanted and then I was mad about it. that might have to be the name of my autobiography someday. 'Cause that's it. That's perfect.
That's my tombstone inscription right
There
there.
you go.
Um, but I
That's
mean,
it.
how much have you watched older Bugs Bunny cartoons? Being younger than me, I'm not sure how much they like got into, I don't know, the consciousness, because they were kind of on, even though they were, decades old when I was a kid, they still were kind of in rotation.
Yeah. No, they were still on. Looney Tunes would air them all the time, and I probably wouldn't have noted them or cared too much, except that my dad loves Bugs Bunny. Like that was his
We just
favorite.
met that very same fellow.
I know. Like it's all being tied together here. It's right there. He should have stuck around for this. He would have a lot to say. But so when we'd be watching cartoons and Bugs Bunny, like, the little shorts or cartoons would come on, he would like come in from another room and be like,
Yeah.
oh, and he'd get real excited. So I ended up watching a lot of them because of my dad's interest. And I always really enjoyed it. But it was also kind of like I felt that it was almost like a throwback cartoon.
Yeah. Oh, they are.
Yeah, that's
And
well,
occasionally like a pretty shitty stereotype will pop up, like they do
yeah,
in any cartoons from the 30s through the whatever, probably like last year, but certainly like through the 60s and 70s. But the first of all, 80 years was kind of stunning to me. I don't know why I'm surprised at these units of time anymore, but when I think of my dad, who's still alive and is 90 years old, being a
yeah,
kid, like my ancient father being a kid when this came out, just like, man, that puts it in perspective. Um,
yeah.
so
Do
it's,
you know if your dad watched them or ever
what's
saw
that?
them? Or do you know if your dad enjoyed Bugs Bunny at all
I
or
don't
ever?
know, honestly. I mean, I think he was always a huge sports fan. And I feel bad for him these days because like that was his lifeline. He's not that mobile anymore, and neither is my mom. And, they're just
Yeah,
kind of like, they're in a sort of benign lockdown there in their retirement community. They're trying to make it as easy as they can on them. Like, relatively speaking, they are very lucky, but it's
right.
they got nothing to do, and my dad doesn't even have like baseball and basketball games to watch anymore. Anyway, Bugs Bunny.
Baseball,
I What's that?
baseball's back, isn't it?
You
Aren't
are
there baseball?
correct. It may be
Okay.
short-lived though, because the Florida Marlins team had coronavirus discovered, like a couple of their players. Seems like it's a big mess. It may yet go on.
Florida
Have you seen pictures of it? Of any of the
baseball?
games?
Oh yeah, yeah. They're like, well, I mean, I don't even know what if I'm seeing is real or if I'm seeing photos. Like, I don't know, but it looked like digitalized audience is what I found just from shot.
I think it might be different for different teams, but no, I think anything you're seeing is real. Like, there are comical
Oh wow.
reactions to this, and some of them just have like a bunch of standees of fans. Um, it's just, part of me is just like, yeah, you gotta soldier on, but it also feels like, what are we doing here? Just shut it down for a year, fix it, then we can have life again. But all these half measures are just
I
fucking
feel like
us.
I saw someone, and I have no idea what this is from or if it was like a tweet or a famous quote, but I feel like I read sports are a reward for a functioning society, which seemed, yeah, no, that seems right. Like,
Yeah,
that's the
I
thing you
like
can
that.
get, have everything else sort of going, but otherwise, that's probably not where we should be putting our focus and efforts.
Oops, sorry.
No, it's me.
Oh, it's you. Okay.
No, because
Um,
you see, first we have my mom, then my dad. So that had to be my brother calling. It's just he just wanted to be part of it.
can we be on your podcast, Maura?
Gonna have to
Um,
figure out how to unsync that.
the reward for functioning society feels like it's creeping into my zone too a little bit. Like, I get, you know, gorilla slam poets and all that being like of the moment, but like funny
Yeah.
stuff about old movies. And it's weird because I do have plenty of people coming at me like this is keeping me sane, like, and all that.
Right.
But when you're the one producing it, it feels a little weird sometimes. Just like, what am I
Yeah.
doing pretending that, everything is the same and normal, but that's
No, I think it's important. I mean, like, look, in general, I do think entertainment is very valuable and important. And I think that people do need that lifeline. And the reason that I have a slightly different feeling about sports is because it's so communal, because you're trying to pull so many people into a singular space together, which
yeah,
during a pandemic seems maybe not wise. But I don't,
yeah.
it's not just the sense of entertainment or something that people might
Hmm.
enjoy. I think that is still important because, I mean, actually, I was just having a whole conversation with this group of interns. And one of them was asking me, like, look, my work is focused on helping people in politics, and my what I do in my spare time is activism on like other causes that I don't get to work on. And she was asking about, how do you not have compassion fatigue? How do you not burn out on doing all the things that you need to do? And that's part of it. You have to like set aside time. And this is the advice specific that I was giving them. Like, everyone says self-care and you have to take care of yourself. And they usually just sort of mean it in this ethereal
Gwyneth
way.
Paltrow ruined that for everybody.
Yeah, basically. Like normally when people are saying like, oh, self-care is so important, they're either trying to sell you a product, they're like, want you to make a purchase, or they're saying it because they kind of want to like, they feel a little bad about the amount of time they're about to take from you. So they're just like, well, now I've said it. So
Hmm.
now I'm going to ask some stuff of you. But also, no, I've shown that I'm a compassionate person because I've said that you should also care for yourself. But really, people do need to like schedule in your time if you can, but like specifically put aside whatever that time is to do whatever you need to. And different people have different things and different abilities of even things they can do. Maybe it's like that's the time that you take a really long shower. Like maybe
Yeah.
that's and you go on a walk every day, but you go on that walk and like just move around, or you do yoga or you meditate. And I was saying, or maybe it's the time that you sit and watch some really dumb TV show and eat a
Hmm.
piece of pizza and like just get to turn off about everything else for a moment to like
Hmm.
recharge, because everyone does it in different ways. So having something there for people to like take in and enjoy and get to not have to think about the world
Hmm.
is vital in order to be able to like keep your energy going for the work that you have to do. That's my
You're so right. I mean, yeah,
so
I think it gets a little confused in my head between like producing the work and when my mind is on like what
right.
fresh hell is going to pop up on the news today, and I'm trying to really like focus on this thing that's so unrelated. But in terms of like the sports versus entertainment thing, there is sort of an analogy or a parallel with live entertainment now,
Mm-hmm.
across the board, like theater, certainly movie theaters, comedy clubs, any kind of concerts. Like that is maybe also the functioning society rule that you mentioned. It's like
Mm-hmm.
we gotta fucking fix the things we gotta fix. And in the meet, and also restaurants. My cousin who owns a restaurant in the New York area is on the ropes, and so many of them have closed. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we can't have nice things. Is what it comes to. But we do. We can have Bugs Bunny. This is like the little mind vacation I allowed myself on the 80th
Right.
anniversary, which was to revisit some of those old cartoons.
Did
And
you watch them?
what's that?
Did you rewatch them?
I did rewatch some, and I found that they were on what site was it? I forget. But it's what's notable to me is that I think there are probably like big grad theses about this somewhere, like in PhD in cartoon studies. But and and I think I found something related to that after I concluded it myself. The one thing I really like about Bugs Bunny as a sort of arc, at least the older ones, is that he is basically a guy minding his own business, trying to eat some carrots, just have his little hole in the ground with his little mailbox. Um, and someone comes along and fucks with him and either tries to kill him or destroy his home. And
Mm-hmm.
he even has the classic catchphrase, "Of course you realize this means war." And it's only after someone has come and fucked with his world, and then he tortures that character, that pompous character, and tricks him and tortures him and basically sends them running. And sometimes it's Elmer Fudd, sometimes it's the Yosemite Sam, but there's a whole bunch of like one-shot villains, like this this opera singer who's practicing in the I don't know, and just like comes and beats up Bugs Bunny because Bugs Bunny's like outside with a banjo, you know, interrupting his practice. So he totally fucks his opera debut up. And it's such a satisfying little dynamic that plays out that's absolutely absent from like Space Jam era Bugs Bunny, you know,
Right.
just like basically Mickey Mouse, you know, just sort of
Just the
anodyne.
underdog getting the comeuppance.
It's really satisfying.
That's fair. We need more of
Yeah.
that these days.
Do you have any like fond cartoons from when you were a kid, or like any kind of show that you think of fondly that sort of endures for a reason?
Um, Not so many. Like I just watched whatever was on Saturday mornings, like nonstop. The thing that endures most is not out of any sort of fondness or enjoyment whatsoever, but there was a cartoon called Gummy Bears, and I it was 1980 whatever, I don't know,
Yeah.
87, 88. Since then, so we're now at 30 odd years. Not a single day of my entire life has ever gone by where that theme song has not gone through my head at least one time. It's
Yep.
it has nothing has persevered more than that
Yeah. How
cartoon
insidious.
theme song. Yeah, no, it's kind of terrible.
Just bored its way into your
Somewhere,
cerebrum, and
somewhere,
don't don't do it
constantly.
more. Don't hurt yourself
It's
or
awful,
our
but
audience.
no. Beyond that, this was actually I was too old for it, but I had a younger brother, and he would watch like Disney afternoons. So he'd come home from school and put it on, and it would be DuckTales was the one that I was like too cool, too old to be watching.
Mhm.
But I would have to sit down and watch DuckTales with him because I loved it. And now they've like rebooted it, and now my kids are watching it, and it's awesome. It's great. I love DuckTales. It's
Yeah,
fan-
I mean, it's
which
I
is
hear
weird, 'cause,
I hear
you know.
great things about it, you know, and like a great cartoon can be so, I don't know, so satisfying. My kids get into them, and they have actually pretty good taste. Right now, they're watching something called Avatar, The Last
Oh yeah, the
Airbender,
last Airbender.
which I think had a, well, I know had a live action movie that we did for Riff Tracks 10
Oh,
plus years ago. But this, I think this is like from the early 2000s, but I think it just came on Netflix, and
right.
my kids are just enamored of it. And my daughter is very specific. She says all of the women in it are, none of them are sexualized. She's, you know, she's a high school student. She's got she's leaning into the academic language now. And she
Sure.
knows what she values. She does not like that. Like, and she's just like, none of the women are sexualized except maybe one who kind of uses it because she wants to, but nobody
Okay.
is making her do it. And it's not like the female badass trope either. Like, she's a bad, like she's very specific about what
That's
appeals to
awesome.
her. And my son is a really unusually smart about story and plot. Like I mean, and that might be my one legacy to him,
I was
is
gonna
like
say
we
that
love
sounds
to
like a
talk
thing
about
for one.
shit together and for like, how did that, like that ring? And when he loves something, he really loves it, but he's hard to please. And Avatar really seems to do it for him.
That's awesome. My kids
Yeah.
are watching that too with their dad, actually. So I haven't seen
Hmm.
it, but I know that they're interested and they like it. Seems like
Cool.
yeah, seems
They may
cool.
break out some weaponry soon, paint little arrows on their forehead like the Avatar.
Unfortunately, that wouldn't be the first time. I'm prepared for that inevitability, really. But
Yes.
yeah, no, they kids love war. Which is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Whole other world of conversation that
And you
is
know what? When you started the thing about self-care, I was like, God, that could be a whole episode in itself. And
so many
there's,
options for number 10.
yeah, I do think there's so many facets to it that are really interesting, and especially the way it's been co-opted and
Yeah.
branded. But as you described very well, the like the vital need for it in any sane person's life, you know.
Yeah. And cartoons can be a form of self-care. So
Yeah,
it goes
it did
together.
it for me the other day surprisingly well. It was just
Oh
like,
yeah.
I love to see the bad guys lose to a wise ass Brooklyn accented rabbit. It's just wonderful.
I can understand the appeal, definitely. Definitely.
We should wrap it up. We will have a little bit of news about the future of our thing here, our cosa nostra, as they say in the mafia. And we will hit number 10, and then we will tell you what's coming next week.
Correct. Thanks, everybody. And
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Maura. See you soon. Hang in there.
See ya.